All right, Mr. Sun, we'll be talking about the money market. And first, we'll be talking about like the graph itself. And either have the demand and supply for money. And basically, this graph is just showing the supply and demand of money. And there's two reasons why you demand money. And that's for transaction demand and you have asset demand. So you can see you have interest rate right here, the quantity right here. And then you have, of course, the demand of money. Now, demand does shift, and it shifts because of three things. And that is price level. If the price for things go up, people are going to demand more money to pay for those things. Income, as well, and technology, like the invention of the credit card, is going to shift the demand to the left because people are using less money. Now we come down to the second graph. You have the supply for money. It's the same graph, but you have this right here, which is, perfectly, inelastic because it's controlled by the main national bank, and it's not really related to the interest rate. It's just like by itself. And like basically this shows like the monetary policy. Basically expansionary, contractionary. How much, because the government, it's the amount of money the government is putting into the economy. So put it here, that's less, increasing, and then that has a domino effect on the other graphs. Like expansionary, you're putting money into it to grow it. Contractionary, you're lowering the money to slow down the economy. And then the next graph, we're gonna be talking about it. But this shit is right here is the reserve ratio, discount rate, and the bonds. And I'm gonna show you how that all moves. All right, Mr. Sun, we're just gonna be talking about how the shifters kind of affect everything on the graph and this money supply going up and increasing and decreasing. So the first thing we can talk about is reserve requirements. And reserve requirements is just how much and reserve banks have to have, the number. So if that is lowered, more money is loaned out, increasing the money supply into the economy. Then you have the discount rate, which is just the interest rates that banks have to pay to the federal, like to the main bank, to the feds. So if that's decreased, then they're able to get more money and be able to loan out more. Or do you have bonds? Because when the government sells bonds, they're taking money out, and when they buy it, they're giving people the money, and then they use it how they want. Now, how that shifts in fixed graphs is, I just did a very blank here for these graphs right here. Let's say you have a recessionary gap right here. And that'd be down here for the Phillips curve. Now, what the government would do to fix that is they would decrease reserve requirements, and that would give the banks more money to loan out, as well as decrease the discount rate, so the banks are able to get more money from the feds, get a bigger loan, and then the government would buy the stocks to also pump more money into the economy. So that shifts supply here, which basically the demand, not demand, but aggregate demand will shift up. I apologize, I already had it, but it will shift up, and then price level will increase. And because there's more money in the banks and this caused interest rates to drop lower, more companies will get more money to invest in themselves by getting more trucks, more factories, which will shift this here because the new money creates new jobs, new trucks, new factories, all that, and new workers. So that decreases, more realistic, decreases unemployment. And that also moves this up here because that is getting more factories going, It's getting more trucks, and it's more making the economy more efficient and making it run at more efficiency. So that will shift here back to where it was. So it's no longer in a recession. That's how these shift. I'm gonna make sure I got everything right. I'm sorry. I really feel like let's put it right here. Anyway, let's move on to the next graph. So oh, there it is. It was inflationary gap. What is all the way up here? Past where GDP is supposed to be. And we gotta get it to shift back. And we'll shift back here. So for the recession, for inflationary gap, they would need to take money out. So basically what the government would do is they would increase reserve requirements. So the banks have to hold on to more money. So it takes it out. They would increase the discount rate. So they cannot take, get as much loan as they used to. And then they'll sell bonds to take money out. And as you can see, this would move this down as they're no longer the resources are being taken away, because when you take the money out, then companies and corporations are less likely to buy trucks, vans, and all that to increase their investment. So that would shift this back down, and I also shift this back down. So that way everything is brought back down. I think I got everything for that. And I just gotta talk about money multiplier. Yep, this is gotta talk about money multiplier. Now for the last part, Mr. Sanan, I just want to make sure you don't take points off and that you do not understand accurate supply, accurate demand curve. I did it wrong. Anyway, I had a line here, and I drew it down here for inflationary. Then it shifts up and connects through here again. I have tried to put on mine on the straight line instead of making it its own separate equilibrium away from this. And then here as well, you have the inflationary, and then you connect it through this line. That's what I did wrong. Just so you know, I know. But we're going to talk about money multiplier and how that works. So it's always 1 over the reserve ratio. So let's say the reserve ratio for this example is 10%. And then the government buys 100 billion in stocks. So they just put 100 billion into the economy. Well, it's going to be, let's see, 1 over the reserve ratio. So 1 over 10%, which equals 1 over 1/10, which is 10. And then times 10 times 100 billion, which is going to equal 1 trillion. And that's how money multiplier works.